All right. Well, you might have caught a little bit of the green room here. We're just getting prepared. Fresh Talks Global Vision. We've been doing some great interviews. Whew. I mean, I feel like I'm at a high. And if you've been keeping up with us, you've been able to hear so many different subjects around mindset matters to the heart.
No
And we're
shit.
coming in at different angles. We have so many people that are just coming from various backgrounds. So I hope you've been catching our stuff that we've been doing. And this morning at 7 a.m. Pacific time, depending on where you were, depending on where you are, where you're catching this, we get to talk about a subject that I think is like a big hot item right now. And it may be because a lot of people are in this, mindset clearing the body, learning about, safety around people. Yeah, but there's definitely this word going around. It's called narcissism. And when you look at the definition, it's like run away, narcissism. That person's narcissist. And then I start looking at the definition and I start questioning myself. I go, um, and not now the way I show up, but I could if I'm having a really hard day. I'm questioning this. I'm going like, am I really narcissistic person? And so I love that we have Grace Moskeller here today because we are going to get in deeper on the softer side of what this actually means. And I'm in full agreement with her, just feels so divine the way that she's going to be sharing it. So, narcissism at the soul to soul level, we're going to be talking. So, we're going to put some gentle approach on it. You get to put a mirror on yourself. Maybe there's going to be some healing that you get to do. I always work towards that in our shows. Well, welcome in, Grace Moss Geller.
Well, thank you, Ms. Rhonda. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk about mindset matters. It's like the most important thing, and connected to
Yeah,
the heart is like
yeah,
so huge. And
yeah. So
narcissism falls right.
I want to introduce you even better, though. I want to get laid a little bit more foundation here, and yeah, let me do that, and then let's get into this. But did I say your last name right? I wanted to make sure.
Oh, that's all right. Moss Geller.
Moss Geller.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. So yeah, Grace is ready to go. I'm excited because this is what we need in this world is people that are we're talking in the green room about leadership. She's right on it, ready to go. So Grace Moskeller is a spiritual healing and transformation specialist who has been teaching strong women to open their hearts and trust for almost 30 years now. She's a creator of the personal power acceleration programs that activate latent soul purpose leadership skills that she loves to write and speak about. She is the author of The Freedom to Flourish, and that's available on Amazon. One thing I caught on here too, which I really loved, is that Grace specifically says that she helps people self sabotage, let go of imposter syndrome, and increase your power to influence, impact, and thrive. Grace, welcome in.
Oh my God. Thanks, Ms. Rhonda. That was like a marvelous introduction. Um, I'm really happy to be here. Mindset really does matter.
Yeah, I can feel that. I was very excited about us being here because I think this is where your specialty be able to serve in so many ways with self-sabotage, really stepping into their leadership, recognizing as a woman how strong we really are and how we can get in our chaos. And it can lead into narcissism, or you're trying to release yourself from that, or you haven't recognized that you're in that space. Grace, can you give us just a foundation on? Um, I know we're going to go into the soul side of this, but can you give me a foundation of narcissism and your approach and your journey around this?
So, like most healers, I was raised by a narcissist, right? Oh my gosh. And then when I became a parent, um, I uh, I was so brainwashed in childhood that his way was the highway and I was on his highway, right? And so when I became a parent, I thought that because he was successful, because he was powerful, that that's what I needed to embrace, to embody, to raise my sons. I thought it was the only way to raise children. And when it didn't work, I thought, they were pushing back. I can see myself hurting their self-esteem. And I'm like, no parent really wants that. And so that's when I dove into the laws of spirituality and found out that narcissism is a defense. And it's like with any wound, it's a result of a lack of love.
Oh, wow. That melted me when you said that. And if I was in a real deep sensitive mood, I would have cried just being able to hear that. That's a special, gentle release for me on my side. Grace, in with how did you start recognizing that there was some shift you needed to do? And was it during the time you were in motherhood and realizing some things about yourself and your journey?
Yeah, I think that's the most amazing thing about being a parent is that your children come out just full of love. And anytime there's a big brightness of love, it shines the light on your darkness and it becomes amplified. And when you really love somebody or something, maybe you can't stop yourself from defensive behaviors, from doing the things that you were raised with or that you think is right, but you know is not working, is not wrong. But you know that there's something missing. And like for me, how did I know this? It was the last day, the last seminar of the Tony Robbins um, 18-month journey program, life mastery program.
Oh.
And I went, my husband and I were having a hard time in our marriage and I wanted a divorce. And so I was micromanaging him through this entire 18 months, trying to get him to see this is what you're doing wrong. This is what you're doing wrong. And on the last day, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got things wrong with me. And I was like so in shock, like I felt like, oh my God, I wasted all this time, all this money, all this energy on trying to fix him when I needed work. I needed help. And so I asked God, flip. I didn't say flip, right? What do I do? And I felt a set of hands on my shoulders pushing me towards Tony's leadership table. And at that time, I didn't. I'm not a leader. No one follows me, but I definitely felt my hand go in my pocket, pull out a credit card that just been paid off, and I plump down $5,000, which
Mhm.
was a lot of money back then, still is, but inflation. Um, and I began my journey into um, mindset, into healing, into choosing love over fear as a tool of leadership.
There's just so much there. I'm still like on board about everything you said. I go, uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. Oh, so Grace, our kids just moved out. And you really get to spend time with your lover, your hubby, your wife, whatever. And because my hubby is my lover. I'm like, I just infectiously want to be in that space of being present with him. But I know that if I am in the closed off space and lack of love within myself, that I'm seeing everything that I want. And I love what you shared about like the husband and wife situation and going, you're wrong, you're wrong. And I can remember a couple weeks ago, I started recognizing when we finally started opening up and experiencing stuff, I was like, oh, the empathy that I had for this other person that I've been with for 26 years, finally being able to hear him. So, with your experience, when you got on that leadership, Tony Robbins 5,000, what was that? I want to know about you. What was that helped you open up so we really get in that mindset matters and and flowing into that soul to soul kind of a vibe that you have started with right away with a really rough title of narcissism. You're bringing in a very gentle, beautiful side. So I really appreciate that.
Okay, so yeah, I really want to wind around the narcissistic side because that's a topic that's so misunderstood and it's a big passion of mine. So, narcissism is totally being selfish, totally being domineering, and then there's a gradient of it where some of it is just like they're super selfish and they're not considerate of your feelings to they're mean, they're nasty, and they're chewing you a new orifice from time to time. And or they're just total sociopaths. But not everybody is as dark as that. And the big message that I have about narcissism is that the people that they hurt, they're in a relationship together for a reason of healing because the same wound has crippled them, but in different ways. And the same wound always is a lack of love. So for a narcissist, when they're growing up and there's a lack of love where they're not getting the love that they want in the ways that they need, the it's just in the stronger it's kind of like the leader archetype within them. I mean, this is a subject I can go a lot in different directions in, but the
Yeah.
leader archetype within them will just kind of go, oh, there's no love here. I want it. I need it. I'm a little bit selfish because leaders need to be selfish. That's part of them. And so they'll just take it. And
Mhm.
they're also part of the archetype of the leaders. They're shapeshifters. They're naturally manipulative. And they use their powers of seductions and they're highly intuitive. And so they're going to know when so you're people that they want to get stuff from is falling away and they're, oh, I got to play the game for a while. And then once they get what they want, then they retreat back and they're back to their normal, closed off, walled off. It's all about me self. And so, but that's how they're getting their needs met. And then the people that they're in relationship with, the ones that get affected by them, the ones that support that behavior, had the same wound in childhood, but they have a different soul personality, one that is wired to support the leader, that's wired to give, to love unconditionally. And so when they see a lack of love, and especially like in childhood, they're the ones that have the big hearts, and then they're always giving, and they're giving, and they're giving until they give so much of themselves, they don't know who they are. And beyond that, along the way, there's a little bit of resentment, like, when am I going to get back? When am I going to, but they're not wired for that. So they give and they give and they give. And so it's the same wound. And so the healing path for this, that by the way, leads to great leadership within your business, within your teams, within your family. So the healing path to that is recognizing, oh, there's a lack of love. And what strengths can I get from the other archetype that I'm not using right now? So it's typically part the team player person, the one that gets stomped on, that figures it out first. And they set up the boundaries and they say, goodbye, get out of here. Psst, you're a narcissist, you're labeled. That's a great first step because from there, then you build your sense of love, your sense of self-esteem, your self of identity and oneness. And once you're strong enough, you grow that inner glow, then the narcissist in your life, you're able to love unconditionally anyhow. Like you're able to see them as if they're a little child having a temper tantrum, just trying to, get away with stuff. And when you see that through a sense of love, then all of a sudden the narcissist who knows, when I say narcissist is just a blanket statement, but the person that's been selfish, that's been using power over and control and manipulation, I guess that's narcissism, um, knows they're doing that. Well, they don't always know they're doing it's fully justified. That's a fact. But it's more, oh, I know I've been punished in the past for this, but you're not punishing me. You're loving me anyhow. And so they're starting to accept that they're okay even at their worst, which is unconditional love, which is the foundation for forgiveness. And eventually, and so then the other person on the other side, their whole role is to where do I start? Where do I stop? And where do they begin? And it's that boundary part. Did I
Oh,
explain well enough?
oh my gosh.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
I think lights were just, opening up. Grace, what's interesting about this journey? You brought up so many things. So, Fresh Talks Global Vision, community, um, whoever is here also that Grace brought in and just kind of catching the YouTube or anywhere you're seeing this, think about where you are in the dual relationship, because the way that Grace was explaining it, I could see exactly what role is what role. That Grace, I mean, you have great experience with this. I love this because this is like, okay, therapy session. Hey, Grace, you know what? Okay, so I want to next go into the soul to soul space because you're already journeying, if that's a word, into this. And I tell you, my friend, so when I started making changes for me, building boundaries that are just so beautiful and saying, I love you, and learning to speak this and like outwardly to people that just didn't always hear me say I love you, but I was like, I'm really on this, truth journey in my mind, I could hear, we do these 80,000 words when we're not like really deeply in our soul. The head just takes over everything. And I could hear my head say, you're not as nice as you're acting. You're playing that role. That is who you are. You're not this new person. You are a fool for thinking that people believe this. And I said, what? No, I'm not. And arguing with my brain. And then I said, here, wait, though. I have something to heal here because this person in front of me, they actually may believe that because there's a reason why that was implanted in me. Anytime I was nice, something would kind of come at me and I would deflect and react a certain way. And so I did that as a kid. And it's like, okay, Rhonda, now you are an adult and you're on this soul to soul journey and finding yourself. So no, brain, let's break that synapses. Let's clear that. And so I caught that. And I feel like that's one of the things that we battle with, is that if we're not in that spiritual space and we're learning to grow into that, or our heart, or having a hard day and our brain can kind of take over, where are these things where you can find there's tools or certain things where you can start catching, to get balanced in your spirit, to be able
I love
to
I love
manage these things instead of put you back in your box?
back in your box. I really love that question. So most of us have been trained to be brain dominant, trust our brain over our heart. And even though we say follow your heart and you'll find, and love, but our heart's been wounded. People have hurt
Yeah.
it. We've been betrayed, we betrayed ourselves. So that's where, the fourth chakra is our heart, and it's all where forgiveness is, right? And forgiveness, what's really cool about forgiveness is once you get to that place, and I'm going to backtrack here in a minute, but once you get to that place and you fully forgive, energetically, what's really cool is it opens your sixth and seventh chakra so that the divine can come down and you can see yourself and the situation and those that are, mean, nasty, and ugly, those ones that, um, through the eyes of the divine. And once you start seeing things through the eyes of the divine, it's a cycle it's an upward spiral cycle, because then your heart expands with more love. And the more love that you have, the more awareness that you have. Plus, and then, so that's energetically the pathway. So the more awareness they have, the more love you have, the more, just like you say, you recognize, oh, my brain is saying something that's not my truth. It's in survival, it's in defensive mode, left over from what I had to battle when I was a kid. But I'm not in that battle now. I'm an adult. I'm stronger. I'm more resilient. I've got training. I love myself in so many more ways. I have all this evidence.
Yeah.
And so, whether you call it your inner skeptic, your inner critic, your inner saboteur, all those lovely little names, that same energy can be reframed, like that mindset energy can be reframed into um, awareness that brings about the forgiveness, that opens the sixth and seventh chakra, that allows you to see. So then you've got this inner validation that who you are is beautiful, who you are is good, who your intentions were pure, or their intentions were pure. And that
Yeah.
brings another layer of awareness. And awareness, Einstein said, we need to I'm paraphrasing now, but seek to understand so that we can love more. So when we understand more, we love more, and then we can do this whole upward spiral um, uh, shift. And then the other thing I want to say before is we think the brain is our powerhouse, and the brain is a great powerhouse. Yeah. And it solves problems. But when it's just running on pure logic, it's in defense mode and it's going to be power over me against you. It's pure ego. And energetically, the reason I'm so passionate about soul to soul communication is our soul is here to experience all the ups and downs on earth, ups and downs, the yin and the yangs of life. And it's the soul, the heart is a place where we love, and the heart serves the soul. And then the brain serves the heart. And so in all your chakras, your energy centers of consciousness, where your first chakra, where everything's real and solid in your relationships within family, the dynamics, and where are you in the lineup in the totem pole? Where are you in the totem pole of power, of deservingness, right? And it comes up to your second chakra of emotions. And when they're in defense, you're scattered, you're in lack, you're in limit, you're in betrayal. And you come up to the third chakra, and it's really hard to have power because you're not sovereign. But when you understand those dynamics inside your lower consciousness, and instead of putting a boundary up and saying, I don't want anything to do with you, you embrace your shadow sides. And I'm sure your viewers have heard about the shadow work and talking and lifting all that up. And so like if this is um uh, I don't want to be seen fat as fat. And so you just cover up everything so that you're not fat. And but the fat's still there. Or
Yeah.
I refuse to be vulnerable. And so then you've got walls up of I won't be vulnerable. But you come home at night, and especially leaders have this strong, sensitive side to them. They'll fall down into poor me. And then they'll be so embarrassed and beat themselves up for, oh my God, I can't be this weak. I'm not this weak. I'm a strong person. So like pull up the bootstraps and you shove down that sensitivity.
Oh,
Does that make sense?
yeah.
Yeah.
The story that I feel happens to everybody is when you started, putting, the fat and the protector and
Right.
the, hey, it was a good example. And I was on thyroid medicine for 20 years and I've been off for almost 9 now. And
Yay.
yeah, yay. And I know that as I'm getting more in alignment, that is my truth. That is my body of work. So I never look in the mirror anymore and say, go on a diet. You gotta do this, you gotta do that. But that would have been the person before I did the journey, and understanding this stuff because we're telling a story through our body and we can force things in and look a certain way just by working really hard and eating very little, just working. And then you're tight and it just looks like maybe some way that you want to look. So I always think about this is like what you're sharing here is about narcissism, understanding, how the brain and the heart work together to be able to support each other instead of combating, that you're learning about how much your body can be in a combative state. So, welcoming into this journey that you're talking about and being vulnerable, and vulnerability really connects with that leadership. And that's part of the healing of the leader is to know that you're in, and this is what I say. So, I want to hear what you say about this, but I think the heart is like the superpower. Because then I get to be safe by opening my heart because I can hear and see, and then
Yes.
I can feel and I can be with them, but I can also stand strong. I can cry and go, yeah, and not allow that to devour me because of oh, I cried, now I'm ashamed. Now the crying gets even harder because now I'm ashamed. But the leader gets to do all of that and still be a leader. So what's the journey? I know we're getting the tail end of this conversation. What's the journey of the leader that you're working with? Because we were talking about your programs and what you're doing. And to understand that part, that's a big journey for someone in the past has thought, I need to be this, I need to wear this mask, because that's what leaders do to what you're sharing, what a true, like stepping in leader without getting sick and just being really in alignment. Can you share a bit about that journey for that person that sees themselves as a leader or getting ready to step into a leadership role?
Yeah. So first, I really want to acknowledge you for getting over hypothyroidism and using the strength of your heart to establish a strong offense instead of being in defense.
Yeah.
And that's what I teach. And that also segues into how do I get a leader to step into their sole purpose leadership role. And so that's the foundation is growing that inner glow and building evidence, feeling it as if it's a tangible entity because it is. It's almost like I know I'm hungry. I also know I'm in love and that I get to control love, that I get to grow love, that I get to feel love, and that I get to listen to people or see people wanting to quote attack or take or trigger me. And it's like really fun to see things that used to trigger you and cave you in the past.
Yeah.
And then you turn it into unconditional love for the other person. So that's how we begin to heal the narcissist. And so leaders have within them both, it's almost like we're split. And I'm not just saying it just for leaders, I'm using leaders as an example. There's 5 soul archetypes total, and that leader embodies all 5 of them. So um, the leader is split. They've got this I'm in battle, I'm gonna win at almost any cost depending upon my values, and I'm also super sensitive, and I'm weak, and I'm kind, and I wanna give, I wanna serve.
Yeah.
But we typically judge the weak, the service as, the service as weak and not powerful, when it's the most powerful force on earth because it gives us our passion to lead, to be willing to die for in battle. So, how do I prepare leaders to step more into their soul purpose? Well, number one is understanding the different soul archetypes, which I teach in my program. It's like in the first week, you're learning, okay, this is how I start building this. And the second is, oh, now I get to understand the different archetypes and how they're polar opposites seemingly, but how they're actually meant to work together to heal and what that healing path is. And that becomes a work on healing the difficult relationships out in your life. And then the more deeper you get, you realize, oh, I have that same conflict within myself, within the archetypes within me. And it's all about being sovereign, like I was talking about before, is your heart, where your chakras, your energy centers rule your heart. Serve your heart, and your heart serves your soul. And the soul is just the purpose of our soul is to love ourselves and others, and by embodying our unique self and being in service to the world in the unique way we're doing. It's not a job, it's not a profession, it's not the things we have, you know, it's who we are while we're being that way,
Mm.
right? And so some people are leaders, but there may be they're creative leaders or they're organizational leaders or they're nurturing leaders or they're super sensitive leaders, right? And then there
Mhm.
and so once you even if you just have those two, it's a profound shift in your personal power, your ability to create, your ability to lead, your ability to, just get out of crawling through mud and of your ability to let go of behaviors, mean, nasty, ugly behaviors that you don't want to have anymore because you realize they're coming from defense and the ability to forgive those behaviors in other people.
Oh, that is a journey in explaining how to forgive also.
Yeah.
because you're building up, like finding the qualities within yourself and knowing the defense and knowing that, okay, if you keep your defense up, then that means this is what's going to exude out to everybody, opening yourself up and that vulnerability that you get to be. And then you also get to build the walls, the people that are around you, and saying, hey, boundaries, not walls, boundaries of that doesn't work for us anymore. Like, I didn't understand that, but the what you're saying or how you're saying it, it's not as loving as like the what I want to hear, or any way that you want to say those words. So this almost gives you, you've served such a big purpose here. First off, Grace, in- being able to see and hear yourself, not be at yourself because maybe you diagnosed yourself as a narcissist because you're like, oh my gosh. But what that really means is growing the heart.
Yes, it does. Yes, it's a call to embrace unconditional love. And the truth is, most narcissists don't know they're narcissists. In fact, it took me a long time to really admit that I had that within me, but it was only a part of me. It wasn't all of me. I was
Right.
also loving and kind. And so then how do you unify that, bring that together? So the symptoms, people that come to me are leaders that have reached a certain edge in their business or their professional life, and that they're wanting to expand more, but they're holding back. That's
Yeah.
one. And also, a symptom is they've either got regrets or they've got a family member, usually a child, an adult child, that has rejected them in some way, won't let them back into their life. And working to heal that at the same time is just really amazing. Opens their business into new levels of impact and expansion. And mostly because you're coming from love instead of from this power over do or don't. And I wanted to talk a little bit about you were saying the boundaries. I
Mhm.
love just that energetic boundaries of self-respect, self-esteem.
Let's
Like
let's finish off with that, my friend. Let's go for it.
that's like really, really fun. So I like to reframe what anger is and betrayal is. So in the
Ooh, I love that. That's a hot item.
it isn't. So in the physical world, those mean, nasty, and ugly people, yeah. In the physical world, yeah, let's get them back, right?
Ah.
Right. In the spiritual world, they're here to, they're just poking at you to say, put your foot down and say, I deserve better. So anger is the emotion, the life force energy of deservingness. And so instead of seeking revenge and power over and plotting or just taking it in on yourself and making it your fault and becoming depressed and powerless, you get to voice that anger, get it out of your body. So um, first it's rage in your body. And you get it out of your body, it becomes outrage. And then once you've got that fray out, and that energy comes up into your third chakra, and you've got courage to say, I deserve better, and this is what I want. And then there's a separation, energetic separation, where
Mhm.
you free and release this other person, this other part of yourself, or whoever did the mean, nasty, and ugly, right? From your need for them to change, to be different. You let them go. It's remember, it's the attachments to everything that keeps things in place. And you declare what you already know, but with the energy, the internal life force of the anger, but the anger gets changed into passion, like I deserve better, I'm on a mission. It's awesome. And
I
there's some
love that.
forgiveness involved and stuff before you can do all that. But that's part of my program as well, how to do that. And by the time you're done working with me, um, y- I think you know how to do that. And if you don't, you need to say, raise your hand, Grace, I don't understand that. Now I make sure you know how to do that before you leave.
I can feel that you explain it in a way, it's not like by words, but just like it may be like one word, but it's not like this big old definition and, kind of thrown at you. It's really the way that your vocals, the way you're expressing it, and the way that you get to say heart and open up instead of these are the tools. This is, like that.
It's
Because
the
then
brain
that's
versus
so
the heart.
combative. Yeah, it's right to the brain, and the brain's in that defense mode. And then it's you're chipping away at something you don't get very far. I feel you, my friend. We've had incredible conversation. In our details, I have a way for them to connect with you. And so what's the thing? Where did you want them to connect to? Or do you remember how would you like them to get connected with you? Because they
What I
already have the link.
Yeah, so I go to callgracemuscular.com and schedule a free call with me. There's a short video that I just put up over the weekend that it really explains soul purpose leadership and why I'm so passionate about it, if you couldn't tell from here. And
Wouldn't that be
and
terrible? I'd be like, "Oh, Grace, what does this all mean?" But you actually just laid it out, hung out, just talked easy. It wasn't definition after definition. It was all love.
yeah. So in the during the free call, because I have a lot of I've I just need to know where you are, what kind of work you're doing, what you want, and then I so I can answer those questions, and then I can direct you to what part of the journey in my uh, personal power activation program is, because I've got free journeys on Mondays and Wednesdays for reprogramming your subconscious
Mhm.
with breath work and sound healing. It's awesome. And
Mhm.
then that leads into a program of different, it's the same program, but different levels of me, access to me.
I love it. My friend, thank you for spending time here in this journey to understand that flow of what narcissism is and creating that soul space to maneuver and play and do all that today. You really served at a high purpose. Fresh Talks Global Vision is so happy to have you, and my heart is growing in the experience and the learning and this the discovery of all the stuff that you shared today. I appreciate you.
Well, I'm like so grateful for the platform for me to voice this. That's been my biggest thing is like, okay, I know how to do all this. So how do I help people in a big way? And so
Yeah.
that I'm anybody that wants me on their podcast or keynote speaker or anything like that, reach out to me. This message needs to get out. Narcissism needs, there's another step behind no contact.
And there's a
Be-
lot of people in pain. So this is showing up a lot. This is a hot conversation right now.
yeah, big
And
time.
and you're partnering with us because there's a hashtag that I use, which is called speaker locking arms. And so it's us using our vocals. 20 years being on thyroid medicine, not opening in my space and sharing, these lovely words of how I want to be in love every day. And it can happen just by opening your heart. But the speaker locking arms is everywhere you go, sharing your love in your heart with people just by saying hello and being authentically and open as you. And as speakers, you get out there. So get out there. Grace, if we can find any kind of speaking thing, I'll make sure I connect because we are on a bigger purpose. In 5 years, I see us in the Golden Gate Park doing
Yeah,
some humanitarian work about what the global vision is for stuff that we talked about today. You served
yeah,
that global vision for us, and I hope we served you too, my friend. Thank you, and have a fabulous day today.
I will. Thank you. Thank you so much, Miss Rhonda. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Yes.
I appreciate you. Fresh Talks Global Vision, here we are. We served again, and Grace did an excellent job. If you have anything to add in or into our group, I would love to hear more. I appreciate you. If you find that a lot of these were triggers or things that brought more awareness, or you're ready for some more growth, you saw the space that Grace Moskeller is really in. You really need to connect with her. Very special soul. Let's keep that soul to soul connection, spirit journey. We all need it. No matter if you feel the sizzle today or tomorrow or months from now, remember this conversation because we get ginger and sensitive so much with all the pain out there. How do we keep centered? This conversation